Tony, you were just telling me about this fascinating piece of information. You've done some research on inaugural dresses and so forth. What was that about?
Well, what happened was I had a phone conversation with my mother, and she said, something about Obama and his inauguration really, I don't know, I felt like he was talking to me. I felt included. So I went back and I looked at his inaugural speech. And I was like, wow, I mean, he really has used the word we a lot. I went through every inaugural speech from George Washington all the way up to Obama. And I looked at the number of times that each president used the word we, and then other what I call we words, which are we, us, or our. Then I looked at the number of times they used me words, like it's all about me. Me, I, or my. And I looked at the ratio. How many times do they use we words compared to the number of times they used me words? And Obama was fourth in U.S. history. The presidents that were the highest were like the who's who of any presidential poll of like academicians, political science professors, who they said were the top presidents in U.S. history. It was like Obama, JFK, FDR, Teddy Roosevelt, Lincoln. The most successful presidents we've had are those that made you feel included. And they talked about we as opposed to just me.
Tony, this is amazing because it's almost like metrics to report. I mean, you're putting numbers by counting the number of we's in a presentation to effectiveness as a leader. So how does that apply to CEOs? So are you actually recommending that when they speak that they actually make sure to put more we's in their presentation? What do you think?
Well, absolutely. I mean, actually, it's interesting because I know you and I we were at a gala last night together. There was a CEO of a company which will remain nameless last night, and spoke very passionately about his company and about what he's doing and how he got to where he is today. But he kind of left us out of the picture. He didn't mention anything about how he connected there with that event, with the people that were there. There really was nothing about we. It was all about him. And I thought, wow, this is a very passionate speech, but no standing ovation, not even much applause. And that was it. And he was off. That was his opportunity, and he lost it. Really, anyone in a leadership role, whether you're the head of a sports club or you're building a community initiative, a volunteer initiative, a nonprofit organization, your department in a government agency or in a company, wherever you are, whenever you're trying to build an initiative with people, the more you can use we. And it's not just faking it, not just so I think that what we are going to do is, but really meaning it, and thinking about the other person and building an inclusive vision with them. Well, the more you do that, the more people are going to respond to you. And you know why? It's like William James once said, that the deepest human craving is the desire to be appreciated. People want to count. Like, people want to feel like they're important.
Tony, it's amazing because so many people, when they're preparing a presentation, they spend all their time working on their PowerPoint slides. And they have all the bells and whistles on their PowerPoint slides, and then they rehearse what they want to say. That you're actually suggesting maybe they focus more and rehearse more about the audience reception and how they'll be hearing this and how they'll be reacting to it and how they'll be engaged and care enough to do something differently at the end. So what are your thoughts about that?
We call it doing your homework. I'll give you an example. I'm going to do 3 conferences in Europe. Each conference is going to have about 150 people. So I've got a questionnaire going out, which I'll get back probably from 10 to 20 of participants from each of the groups. Just asking them about what are the challenges you're facing right now? What do you consider to be leadership? What do you feel are the obstacles to leadership in your country? Because if I go there and I give them my cookie-cutter speech that I give everywhere else, it's kind of like Stephen Covey once said, if you're not influenced by my uniqueness, I won't be influenced by your advice. The 2 key parts of communication, it's empathy and authenticity. First, we have to listen and really understand, who is this person that I'm talking with? What is unique about them? What do they want? What do they need? What makes them happy? What makes them suffer? What are their motivations? And then, when we speak, after listening, we're able to deliver our words in the context of who they are. Like this guy last night. But all he had to do was layer in the beginning a little more about his audience and connect with his audience and understand who they are and sort of target it more to them, and he would have been extremely powerful.
Isn't it so? What you're saying is cookie-cutter communication doesn't connect. So if someone watching this video is preparing for, and it could be a pitch for venture capital, it could be a request to their boss, it could be a conference presentation, what's one thing you would suggest they do so that they really have that two-way communication with their audience?
Actually, one of the CEOs that I coach really put it well, so I'm going to use his strategy, which is he says he has what he calls the one-question rule. which is that whenever he's going to meet with anyone, one of his staff or board members, investors, employees, always ask one question. And then the question isn't, did you get the report in? It's not a logistical question, but some question that's about how someone feels. How did you feel about the report you were working on? You know, what did you feel about the impact that it's making in the company? When you make that connection heart to heart, and it's just by asking them how they feel about something. And you know what the CEO told me? He said, I was amazed. Because a lot of my employees, I didn't think they had that much to say, but when I started asking them just this one question, well, it led to a lot of other questions. And they actually are very interesting. That one question it'll lead to other questions, and it'll help you to connect with the people you're leading.
Wonderful, Tony. Thanks for your great advice.
All right, thank you.